Colin was right.
We said Matt Stafford we thought would stay with the Rams, but the Raiders were making a real push. It's been announced yesterday the Raiders offered, and this was our guess, $100 million, $50 million guaranteed 2 years. I thought the Raiders would go to a third year to get him. They didn't, and therefore he stayed with the Rams. I was told the Rams wanted him. They feel they're too close to a Super Bowl and another trophy to move off him. Matt didn't make a lot of money last year relative to other star quarterbacks. He wanted a better deal. He'll get it.
Where Colin...
Okay. I think we're having... I don't know if you could do a victory lap on Matthew Stafford staying with the Rams, because Colin was talking about how, you know, he was talking about how him and J-Mac were saying that he could be going to the New York Giants, that's a real take, and that the Rams are dead set on, you know, apparently moving on from Matthew Stafford, and about you know, the tax rate in, or lack of taxes in Las Vegas, and how Stafford should want to go to Las Vegas and all of this type of stuff. So I don't know if you could necessarily do that. You know, I think he said that he thinks that Stafford should want to stay with Los Angeles, and that that's the best place for him, because that's obvious. Of course it is, 1,000%. You're not going to leave Sean McVay and that team, and you were, you know, essentially a play away from getting to the NFC Championship game in a blizzard against the Super Bowl champions. You know, so yeah, you know, but I don't know if there was that confidence that he was going to stay in LA. There was a lot of momentum, and again, because the people were really believing that he was going to New York, which I didn't think was going to happen personally. I thought the Raiders was the best possibility, especially because of like Tom Brady talking to him, and you know, all that stuff, and of course the money, and because I think what they're building in Las Vegas is legit. But Stafford's not dumb. One, he wants to keep his family in LA. I'm sure he's got a big family, a lot of young little girls, like daughters and stuff. So you know, moving them all around at this point just seems, I'm sure they're very happy and comfortable and settled in LA more than anything. I'm sure his wife is very much enjoying an LA lifestyle, considering she had to be in Detroit for many years, as well as Stafford knows that his end is near, and he does want to win another ring. Of course, he wants to make money, but like, he wants another ring. He wants to continue to build also a Hall of Fame resume. I mean, the dude wins another Super Bowl, like, he's guaranteed Hall of Famer, and I think he probably should be a Hall of Famer, but it's going to be technically a question mark, I guess. You know, it'll you know, you'll have a lot of people probably debate it, quite frankly. But if he wins another Super Bowl, it's just it's a wrap, quite frankly. And so, you know, I think it's obviously being with Sean McVay. Sean McVay, probably outside of Andy Reid, is going to arguably be the best, at the minimum, best offensive head coach in the NFL, if not just the second best overall head coach under you know, only Andy Reid. And so you would be out of your mind to leave that. But at the same time, if there's an extra 30, 40, 50 million dollars on the board, like, I've never been in that situation. I have no idea what it means. And I have no idea what an extra 30 million means when you already have 300 million in the bank. Like, I really don't. So it's easy to say out loud, but, you know, harder to like actually put into any actual frame of reference of like, what does any of this stuff mean? Not to mention, of course, some of the commercial money that he's already gotten because of being in LA, and any of the other opportunities that he has. But obviously, this is obviously a great thing. The reason why I'm spending other time talking about kind of like the extra of this, because it's obviously a great thing for the Los Angeles Rams. Like, obviously, I really think the Rams will be a great team. You know, they were technically a great team last year, but it was just hard to see because of of how the season unfolded, which I've talked about at length, not only throughout the season, but then, you know, as the offseason started. You know, that this team is significantly better than people realize, and the benefit of also that the Rams are, especially with just how the franchise, you know, the suit and ties, as well as Sean McVay, that this is a very, very, very highly well run football team. So they're going to continue to make decisions and choices and moves that will continue to either keep this team really good to great, as well as making moves that will improve them as well. So it's like arguably what would be the most shocking team for them. The most shocking thing that could happen this coming season would be the Rams not being great and them taking a backseat and like missing the playoffs outside of injuries and all of that. More shocking than like the Jags are now in the playoffs, or some other team that's going from zero to like a legit contender. Like, it would be more shocking for me to see the Rams not be a true legitimate contender, that it's like the divisional round and we're like, oh yeah, no man, the Rams, like, they are definitely in a position to beat whoever and get to the NFC Championship game. And it's like, oh man, if they're in the NFC, if they're in the Super Bowl, like, if you're the Bills, if you're the Ravens, if you're the Chiefs, like, I don't want to face them. Like, it's like, for me, it would be more surprising that if we're not having those conversations, which is why moving on from Stafford never seemed to make any sense to me, as well as like then like potentially getting Aaron Rodgers. It's like, what? And it's like, Aaron Rodgers wants to go to LA. It's like, yeah, no duh, he would want to go to LA. Like, of course. Like, why what quarterback would not want to be in that situation? Like, of course. The hardest thing about understanding about this team is though Stafford, because I do think he's elite, but he is older. And especially because of all the injuries, either to himself or just this team specifically last season, it is just a little bit harder to evaluate when that, how that quarterback is going to continue to age, because he's obviously not who he was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, even 3 years ago. And so it is just impossible to predict. What will disrupt him? Is he more just easily banged up? Like, what is the situation here? How is he going to continue to play for the next year or two? Can't imagine a massive drop off from last season to this season. And again, especially if they can just stay healthy, well, then it should just be, even more consistent and if anything, slightly better last year into this year. But again, he's at the age where I think it's pretty much 100% impossible to predict how a quarterback like him is truly going to play, because what we hear so many of these guys, especially Colin says this a lot, wow, he aged fast. He says it about, a couple of these quarterbacks, whether, I'm not even going to name names because then that just makes it too emotional. So it just, sometimes you do see that. You see quarterbacks where you're just like, no, he's going to be great. And then they play and you're like, oh, wow, I think this kind of just hit us in the face, and famously, someone like Max Kellerman saying like Tom Brady's going to fall off a cliff and stuff like that. I think those things do happen with players. And again, I'm not predicting it with Matthew Stafford by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think it's okay, again, if you're a Rams fan, to admit like, yeah, I'm really excited where my team is going. I'm excited by the moves. I do think with Stafford, we're in the best possible situation, but he is at the point of age where it is question marks. You really just don't know. Especially if he gets banged up during the season, he's at the age where it's just like, he doesn't just come back in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And even if he does, he's clearly not like 100% recovered. So like that's the most technically unsettling aspect of moving forward with a Matthew Stafford. But I think if you're looking at your team right now and saying we have a true chance to win a Super Bowl, these next 1, 2, 3 years, then outside of Stafford really falling off a cliff or getting injured, this is the best possible situation for you to be in. So, I continue to love this move and will continue to be high on the Rams as long as they continue to be well run and have Sean McVay as their head coach. To me, that's more of the juice than anything else, quite frankly. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Los Angeles Rams keeping Matthew Stafford in LA? You excited about it? Do you think this is the right move, and where do you think the Rams will be this coming season? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.